Medieval Europe wasn't just the land of knights, castles, and chivalry. It was also a world pulsing with shadows, strange noises in the night, and stories passed down from hushed lips beside smoky hearths. It was a time when every unexplained sickness, vanishing traveler, or mysterious death had a dark explanation. One with claws, fangs, hooves, or wings. People didn't laugh at monsters. They lit candles, carved protective symbols, avoided certain roads, slept with iron knives under their pillows. These weren't myths, they were warnings. The creatures that haunted the minds of medieval people weren't just figments of imagination. They were survival tools, metaphors for the unknowable, and sometimes genuinely terrifying. Today, we revisit 10 of the most fearsome creatures whispered about in castles, villages, and monasteries. These monsters weren't born from fiction. They were forged from fear. 1. The Kelpie, the drowning horse of Scotland, beautiful, graceful, deadly. The Kelpie was a shape-shifting water spirit, most often appearing as a majestic black horse standing still beside a dark loch in Scotland. But its beauty was bait. The moment a traveler tried to mount it, they were stuck, hands, legs, and back glued to the creature's slick hide, like sap to bark. And then, without a sound, it charged into the water, dragging its victim down to a watery grave. Some say you'd hear nothing but splashing and a short scream. Others told of eerie silence, as if the water swallowed the sound itself. All that remained? A pile of elegant clothes, and sometimes a floating liver. To medieval villagers, it was more than just myth. It was a warning. Don't trust what looks too perfect in the mist. Don't travel alone where the trees speak louder than the wind. And if a horse ever waits by a cursed river, keep walking. 2. Nachtseher, the funeral feeder of Germany, buried 6 feet deep and still dangerous. The Nachtseher was Germany's answer to the vampire myth, but with a gruesome twist. It wasn't a creature that rose from the grave to hunt. It killed from within its own coffin. People believed the dead could chew on their burial shrouds and cause disease or death in the living world. The more it chewed, the more villagers sickened. Entire towns feared being cursed by the chomping corpse. To stop it, medieval grave diggers developed extreme methods. Corpses were buried face down, with stones placed in their mouths, or arms tied behind their backs. Teeth were smashed, heads severed. If a death was sudden or mysterious, families would dig up the coffin just to check, and destroy anything chewing. These weren't festive bedtime stories. They were real responses to real death. When plague swept through towns like wildfire, and sickness jumped from house to house, the answers had teeth, even after death. 3. Horrifying and Feindry. Redcap, the blood-hatted killer of Castle's Knot. All goblins lived under bridges or in fairy tales. Some lived in abandoned castles soaked with battle blood. The Redcap was a small, hunched goblin with glowing eyes, iron boots, and a pike as tall as himself. But his most iconic feature? His bright red hat, dripping in the fresh blood of his victims. And here's the terrifying part. The cap had to stay soaked. If it dried, he would die. Which meant one thing, he kept killing. Redcaps didn't talk. They didn't reason. They hunted travelers, soldiers, or anyone daring enough to sleep near ruined fortresses. In some borders of Scotland, entire roads were believed cursed if a redcap had made his home nearby. War left behind abandoned castles, and redcaps filled them with terror. They were living reminders that some places should stay dead. 40 tidreds, under Tudin drown forn and brunters. Dullahan, the headless harbinger of Irish death, he rides under a moonless sky, with a horse black as night and a severed head in his hand. The Dullahan isn't just Ireland's dark myth, he's its ultimate death omen. His smiling, decaying head held high, scanning miles ahead for the soul he's come to claim. Doors open on their own the moment he nears. Chains rattle, dogs howl, and if you dare look upon him, he might throw a basin of human blood in your face. Or worse, speak your name, only once, and you die instantly. Some say the whip he carries is made of a human spine. Others believe wherever he stops riding, death follows in minutes. You can't outrun him. You can't fight him. The best you can do is never walk alone when the winds go silent. 5. Draugr, the undead warriors of Norse nightmares, forget the shuffling zombies of modern horror. Draugr were powerful, stubborn warriors who refused to stay dead. Swollen with supernatural rage, these undead Vikings returned to protect their hoarded treasure, wreak revenge, or simply continue fighting after death. They weren't ghostly. They were corporeal, solid, strong, and reeking of death. They could split men in half, crush bones with bare hands, and step into your dreams to spread madness. Some tales even claimed Draugr grew in size when enraged, towering over their enemies in undead fury. Heroes who faced them had to do more than fight. They had to outlast them, surviving whole nights locked in graves or tombs, wrestling the Draugr until dawn forced it to weaken. Even burial rituals changed. Warriors were buried with nails through their feet, just in case. 6. Demon Cat, the hellish feline of France. What's small, silent, and sits on your chest until you stop breathing? In medieval France, they called it le chat démon, a demonic black cat with fiery red eyes and fur that felt like barbed metal. It didn't purr, it hissed through gaps in walls, drifted past doorways, and appeared on your chest at midnight, pressing down slowly, until your breath stopped. It wasn't just fear of cats. This was deeper. The demon cat was believed to drain a person's life force little by little. People described weight in their sleep, a silent pressure crushing their ribs. Entire families claimed its presence. Livestock died, wells went dry, babies never woke. Eventually, villagers discovered one defense: surround your bed with mirrors. The cat, like many demons, despised its own reflection. Your last hope was making it look at itself before it looked at you. 7. Barghest, the black dog with the death gaze, tall as a man, eyes like burning coal. The Barghest didn't bark. It didn't chase you. It just looked at you. And when it did, someone you loved died before sunrise. In English folklore, the Barghest roamed moorlands, graveyards, and old stone roads. Many said it was shaped like a hound, but walked upright. Some said it had a second face on its back, one that never blinked. People didn't fear the bite. They feared the appearance. Horses fled. Gates froze shut. And if you followed it, thinking you were chasing a stray, you might turn a corner and vanish yourself. It was death packaged in silence, horror in canine form, and nobody ever heard it coming. 8. Cockatrice, the serpent rooster of ash and fire. What happens when a rooster lays an egg and a toad hatches it under a blood moon? You get a cockatrice, half snake, half bird, all nightmare. This medieval monster turned people to stone with a single glance. Entire towns emptied overnight, crops blackened where it walked. And worst of all, it didn't squawk, it screamed, like a demonic trumpet soaked in smoke. Knights who sought it out often never returned. The ones who did arrived blindfolded, swinging mirrors like weapons, because only the cockatrice's own reflection could kill it. A beast so deadly it was born cursed. 9. Alp, the dream thief of Germany sleep, was not safe in medieval Germany. The Alp, a small shadowy goblin, attacked people in their dreams. Victims would report pressure on their chest, trouble breathing, nightmares that repeated every night, and a weighty presence they couldn't shake off. The Alp didn't kill. It drained. You'd wake up weaker, colder, and afraid to sleep again. Some said it entered homes through keyholes. Others believed it took forms: a fog, a cat, even someone you trusted. And once it chose you, it came back, night after night, until only exhaustion remained. Iron under the pillow helped. So did salt at your windows. But when everything failed, all you had left was fear-filled sleep. 10. Wendigo, the frozen spirit of endless hunger, tall as trees, bones stretching under skin. The Wendigo was the ultimate warning. What happens when man gives in to desperation? In frozen northern woods, during brutal winters, starvation killed fast. But if a person ever ate human flesh to survive, they might become something else. A Wendigo, cursed to never be full, cursed to remember the moment that changed them. Forever hungry, forever hunting, villages disappeared, bones chewed down to dust, and trees snapped high above, marking the impossible path of something huge, walking between trunks. There were no survivors, only stories, and they all ended with footsteps, crunching softly in fresh snow. So what do these creatures really tell us? That people in the Middle Ages feared more than swords and sickness. They feared the silent things, the unexplained, the feelings you can't describe, only fear. Because when the light fades, when comfort ends, and you're left with just instinct, you reach for stories to protect yourself. Whether it's a hound of death, a dream goblin, or a killer rooster, monsters remain, not just in ancient texts, but in our fears, our myths, and maybe in the dark corners of the world we still don't dare explore.